Hi, year six. Hope you're okay. It's Mr. Mans here. I've got some English work for you for Thursday and Friday for you to have a go at because I know you've been doing some work with Mrs. Withers for the first 3 days. And what I thought we could do is do something on one of my favourite books, which is Room 13 by Robert Swindells. Now, we've read this book, we did it as a class reader early in the year. Um, but one of the things we never got to do was have a go at doing this writing activity that I've got today, which just we never got round to at the time. But it's a really good fun one. I thought we could have a go at, especially because you know the book already. Um, it's all based on the first chapter. So what I'll do first of all is read the first chapter to you, and then I'll discuss what we're going to do. So this is the first chapter again. I'll just read it out to you. So it's Room 13 by Robert Swindells, chapter 1. This is what Fliss dreamed the night before the second year went to Whitby. She was walking on a road high above the sea. It was dark. She was alone. Waves were breaking at the foot of the cliffs to her left, and further out the moonlight made a silver path on the water. In front of her was a house. It was a tall house, looming blackly against the sky. There were many windows, all of them dark. Fliss was afraid. She didn't want to go inside the house. She didn't want to walk past, but she had no control over her feet. They seemed to go by themselves, forcing her on. She came to a gate. It was made of iron, worked into curly patterns. Near the top was a bit that was supposed to be a bird in flight, a seagull perhaps, but the gate had been painted black, and the paint had run and hardened into little stalactites along the bird's wings, making it look like a bat. The gate opened by itself, and she went through. Fliss heard a voice that whispered, "The gate of fate." She was drawn along a short path and up some stone steps to the front door, which also opened by itself. "The keep of sleep," whispered the voice. The door closed silently behind her. Moonlight shone coldly through a stained glass panel into the gloomy hallway. At the far end were stairs that went up into blackness. She didn't want to climb that stairway, but her feet drew her up along the hallway and up. She came to a landing with doors. The stairs took a turn and went on up. As Fliss climbed, it grew colder. There was another landing, more doors, and another turn in the stair. Upward to a third landing, then a fourth, and then there were no more stairs. She was at the top of the house. There were 4 doors, each with a number. 10, 11, 12, 13, and she read the numbers. Door 13 swung inward with a squeal. "No," she whispered, but it was no use. Her feet carried her over the threshold, and the voice hissed, "The room of doom." In the room was a table. On the table stood a long, pale box. Fliss thought she knew what it was. It filled her with horror, and she whimpered helplessly as her feet drew her towards it. When she was close, she saw a shape in the box, and there was a smell like damp earth. When she was very close, the voice whispered, "The bed of dread." And the shape sat up and reached out for her, and she screamed. Her scream woke her, and she lay damp and trembling in her bed. Her mother came in and switched on the light and looked down at her. "What is it, Felicity? I thought I heard you scream." Fliss nodded. "I had a dream, Mum, a nightmare." Poor Fliss. Her mother sat down on the bed and stroked her hair. "It's all the excitement, expect. Thinking about going away tomorrow." She smiled. Try to go back to sleep, dear. You've got a long day ahead of you." Fliss clutched her mother's arms. "I don't want to go, Mum." "What?" "I don't want to go. I want to drop out the trip." "But why? Not just because of a silly dream, surely." "Well, yes, I suppose so, Mum. It was about Whitby, I think. A house by the sea." "A house?" "Yes," she shivered, remembering. "I was in the house and something horrible was after me. Can I drop out, Mum?" Her mother sighed. "I suppose you could, Felicity, if you're as upset as all that. I could ring Mrs. Evans first thing, tell her not to expect you, but you might feel differently in the morning." She smiled. "Daylight makes us forget our dreams, or else they seem funny, even the scary ones. Let's decide in the morning, eh?" Fliss smiled wanly. "Okay." She knew she wouldn't forget a dream, and that it would never seem funny. But it was all right. She was in control of her feet. She wiggled them under the covers to make sure, and they weren't going to take her anywhere she didn't want to go. So that's the first chapter to Room 13, and it's one of my favourite opening chapters because it's got lots of clues in it as to what happens in the rest of the story. And as we know, it all links back to what happens later on as the story progresses. So what I've done for you is, what I'd like you to do is have it use that opening, and use it as the structure of it to have a go at writing your own story opening, a bit like Robert Swindle's A Spooky Story. It's the start to a story, but don't give too much away, because although it gives away little clues, even when you look at the picture, you've got the picture of the bat on the gate. There's clues to what happens, but it doesn't give everything away. So that's what we're going to have a go at doing. So what I've done is I've broken the opening, the chapter, into 5 parts. So the first part is just a quick flashback. This is what Fliss dreamed the night before the second year went to Whitby. The second part is description of the setting, okay, in her dream. So there's a road above the sea, it's dark, there's cliffs, there's moonlight, there's a tall house, there's a gate, and within that it creates this sense of fear. So that's the start of the chapter. Then this next part here, part 3, it begins to move through the setting. So you go along a pathway, there's steps, there's a front door, there's hallway, stairs leading to different things, and the main thing here is the creepy voices in the background that speak to her. So the room of doom and things like that. A series of rooms leading to room 13, a description of the room, something creepy in the corner of the room. Okay, there's lots of suspense being built up, but not giving it all away. Then part 4 of the chapter, she wakes up. She wakes up and she has a conversation with her mom. You've got the dialogue between the 2 characters, and then you've got mom reassuring her, okay, and making her feel better. And then the final part of it, it's just an ending to the chapter. The character feels a little bit better, but there's a clue that this dream would come back in the story when it says the line, "She knew she wouldn't forget," and as we know, it does. Okay, so that's breaking the chapter itself into 5 different sections there. What I've also made for you then is you can use that structure. We can use the structure of chapter 1, room 13, to provide the outline for our spooky story opening. So the first bit, you've got a flashback. So what I want you to do is to make this, maybe you can either make it a 3rd-person story, again a bit like Robert Swindle's, where he used the character Fliss, or it could be from a 1st person. Do it as yourself. When was it? Was it the night before a school trip, the night before a holiday, the night before going away on a football trip, night before a football match, or night before maybe going to see a music concert or something like that? Okay. The second part, you've then got to have the description of the setting. So in Robert Swindle's, it's a road above the sea, there's dark cliffs, moonlight, a tall house, a gate, and you've got the character's fear. So where are you? Are you by the sea, like Robert Swindle's is, or is it in the woods, or an abandoned village? It could be anywhere it's spooky. There's an example line: I was walking through the woods, the sky lit only by a full moon that shone vividly through the trees. Part 3, you've got the movement through the mysterious building, or the setting. So in Robert Swindle's, there's a pathway, steps, front door, hallway, stairs leading to different landings, lots of creepy voices. So what leads you on your path to the mystery building? So for example, you could have some sort of pathway lined with pebbles, a set of steps leading to a porchway, a creaky front door, a darkened hallway, a winding staircase leading to a set of bedrooms. And here's an example I put here. I made my way along a pebbled lined pathway towards the porchway. The entrance gave me the shivers, almost as if it were abandoned. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was a strange noise. Enter if you dare, the voice whispered. I froze, my body numb. Okay, that's just a little example. And then you can move, once you've been through that setting and built up all that suspense, suddenly your character can wake up and someone come and speak to you. So in Robert Swindle's story, in room 13, it's obviously the mum, but it could be anyone. It could be your dad, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, grandma, granddad, anyone you're staying with at that time. Okay, my screams woke me abruptly and I sat bolt upright. Dad rushed in looking panicked. Are you okay? What's the matter? My father said as he rushed over to comfort me. I'm not sure. I had a dream. No, a nightmare, I replied. My bed covered in sweat. Sweat because you're scared. And then finally that ending, that short ending. So you feel a bit better. you've been reassured by your whoever it was that came in, but then some sort of clue that it's going to come back again later on. So it's got Dad left, and I smiled to myself. I knew this wasn't an ordinary dream, but for now, at least, I felt okay again. What I've also done for you is got some spooky images off the internet that you could use when you're doing your setting descriptions and building up. These might inspire you. If you look at the sky, dark and grey, looming over you, almost looking at you menacingly. These buildings with the intricate patterns. Got some more here. So they might inspire your writing a little bit, or you can find a picture of a different spooky building or something like that. That you could use when you do your one. Okay, so your task is to have a go at using the structure from chapter 1 of Room 13 to write a spooky story opening. Nothing gory, nothing like that. In Room 13, it's aimed at children, so although it gets a little bit spooky and it builds up that drama and suspense, it's not gory. We don't want anything like that. That gives it all away. So when we're doing this suspense writing and spooky writing, we're just building it all up and leaving it to the reader's imagination. And you can change all the different things you want, but I would follow that structure that Robert Swindells gives you for that opening chapter. I would suggest this will take you 2 days. That's what I thought it would be, because I think, one, you've got to think of all your ideas, and it might be worth, first of all, just a bit like I've done on the side here, maybe noting down your notes about what you're going to write about, perhaps even having a look at some of the spooky pictures and noting down some words you'd like to use in your writing. And then I would split it over 2 days. So I'd maybe do the first part today, the flashback and describing the setting and beginning to move through that setting. And then tomorrow I'd finish that off with the building up all the suspense until you get to this point where something's about to happen, or the character's about to see something, and then cut it all and wake up. And then that doesn't ruin it for the reader. It just builds it all up. And have a conversation with whoever it is who comes in, and then finish your chapter off. And then tomorrow you can go through and check that and edit it and fix it and proofread it. And what I've done is, I'm going to do another video now of me modelling all that and doing a model version that you can watch as well. Okay, I hope it makes sense. I hope you have lots of fun. I know how much you like doing spooky writing. Like I say, nothing gory, just build up that suspense. Okay, thanks. Bye.